The Cloister's last nun. There are some places in this world whose very existence seems to be cursed. Buildings, houses, streets, or in this case, a cloister where death and suffering were its only occupants. Sometimes the darkest shadows lurk in the most unexpected corners. And in today's video, we're delving into the chilling narrative of the Cloister's last nun. Our story takes us back to the heart of Europe, where nestled amidst the rolling hills of an unnamed country was a once revered convent. This wasn't any ordinary religious sanctuary. It was a place where prayers were whispered and lives were surrendered to the divine. However, like many stories that unfold in seemingly holy places, the sanctity of these four walls was just an illusion. Beneath the surface, a sinister narrative was waiting to be unearthed. The year was 1846, and the convent was home to a community of nuns who had dedicated their lives to piety and service. The air within its chambers was thick with incense, the murmur of prayers and the rustle of habits as the nuns went about their daily routines. But this peaceful facade was about to shatter. A terrible plague struck the land, leaving a trail of sorrow and death in its wake. The quiet routine of the convent was replaced by the grim task of burying the dead. Day after day, the sisters were taken by the disease and were laid to rest in the cloister cemetery. The lively chatter was now a distant memory, replaced by the heavy toll of the funeral bell. Amidst this grim tableau, one nun stood out, Sister Agnes. She was a young woman, barely in her 20s, with a spirit as bright as the morning sun, which shone through the high Gothic windows of the chapel. Her laughter echoed in the corridors. Her faith burned brightly, and her kindness knew no bounds. But as the plague tightened its icy grip on the convent, even Sister Agnes's indomitable spirit began to falter. She watched helplessly as her fellow nuns succumbed to the relentless disease. The cheerful songs they used to sing together were replaced by the somber notes of lamentation. Yet still she held on, tending to the sick and praying fervently for a reprieve. However, the plague seemed relentless, showing no signs of abating. And soon it came for Sister Agnes too. As she lay on her deathbed, her reflection in the high window pane showed a haggard face, her skin as pale as parchment and her eyes dull with pain. Despite the searing agony that racked her body, she clung to consciousness. In her delirium, she could hear the mocking laughter of the plague, taunting her with her impending demise. With a final shudder, Sister Agnes breathed her last, becoming another victim of the merciless pestilence. The sound of her passing was swallowed by the cold stone walls of the convent, and her lifeless form was added to the growing list of casualties. Yet somehow, amidst all this death, there was no fear. All the nuns, including Sister Agnes, had willingly embraced their fate. They accepted their impending deaths without a shred of fear, trusting in their faith to guide them through the valley of death. It was as if they had made a pact with the grim Reaper himself, surrendering themselves to the inevitable without a whimper or a plea for mercy. Their bravery in the face of such a terrible disease was nothing short of legendary. As the graveyard began to fill up with the bodies of the departed nuns, a sense of foreboding settled over the remaining villagers. They started whispering tales of the convent being cursed, haunted by an evil presence that lured innocent souls to their demise. Fear turned to panic when more and more people started falling victim to the plague, and the village elder decided drastic measures were needed. The solution was simple, albeit brutal: banish the last remaining inhabitants of the convent, believing that the source of the plague lay within those hallowed halls. And so it was that on a fateful day, the doors of the convent were flung open, revealing a scene of utter devastation. Inside, the sight that greeted the villagers was enough to send shivers down their spines. The walls were adorned with grisly sketches of the plague, each one a chilling reminder of the disease's cruel toll. In the chapel, the altar was desecrated, the cross overturned, and the holy water fonts lay shattered on the floor. It was as if the very essence of sanctity had been stripped away, leaving behind a hollow shell of what was once a place of worship. Amidst this macabre spectacle, the eyes of the villagers fell upon the final nun who remained, none other than Sister Martha. Martha was an elderly nun, her face a roadmap of wrinkles etched by years of prayer and penance. Her eyes, however, shone with an ethereal light, and her frail hands trembled with an otherworldly energy. When the villagers demanded she leave, her response was nothing short of shocking. She flatly refused, declaring that she would rather die within the cursed walls than abandon the place she had dedicated her life to. The villagers, driven by fear and desperation, tried to force her out, but the old nun stood firm, her resolve as unbending as the ancient stones that surrounded her. Days turned into weeks, and Sister Martha continued to resist, subsisting on the meager supplies she found within the decaying walls. The villagers, unable to comprehend her steadfastness, resorted to building a small hut outside the convent, turning it into her prison. Each day they would leave food and water outside the hut, hoping that she would eventually relent and accept their offer of asylum. But Martha remained adamant, her silhouette a haunting presence against the backdrop of the setting sun. Then one day, a horrifying discovery was made. Despite the provision of food and water, Martha's body was found lying lifeless on the ground outside the hut. It was as if she had chosen to sacrifice herself rather than retreat into the safety of the village. What had compelled her to this extreme step? Was it an unwavering devotion to her calling, or a chilling pact with the curse itself? As the villagers prepared to bury Martha, they noticed something peculiar. The ground where she lay was strangely devoid of the plague's touch. Not a single symptom of the disease had appeared on her corpse. Astonished by this macabre spectacle, they buried her in the shadow of the cursed convent, unaware that they had just sealed their own fate. For Martha had inadvertently lifted the curse, and now the villagers were left to face its wrath. One by one, the villagers started falling ill, their suffering serving as a grim testament to the curse's persistence. Those who recovered from the plague bore witness to the true extent of its horror, their bodies forever bearing the grotesque marks of its passage. Thus the tale of the cloister's last nun became a chilling part of local lore, a cautionary tale whispered around flickering fires to remind all who listened of the dreadful price of hubris and the unforgiving nature of a curse. What's your take on this story? Let us know in the comments below. Your thoughts are highly valued here. Also, before you leave, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay updated on our spine-chilling narratives. We've got more terrifying tales waiting to be unraveled. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon with another gripping episode. Until then, may your nights be peaceful and your dreams be free of haunting visions.